Hey everybody! Welcome to Firebase Semi-Live, the live coding show where I live code it in here, but you watch it not live out there. And today we're going to be tackling a new thing. It's building a search app with Firestore and Algolia. So at Google I/O, we announced that there is a new extension that integrates Firestore collections with Algolia indexes. And so if you add new documents to Firestore, they get synced through the extension to Algolia, and you can do all this searching stuff, and it's amazing. But when I say we, it's not just me, because I have a very, very special guest on today. And so I'm going to bring in my friend Sajid Momin from Algolia. Sajid.
Hey, David.
Welcome to the show, man.
Thanks, David. Appreciate it. I'm really excited to be here. Looking forward to talking more about the Firebase extension that we built at Algolia. And I'm excited, super excited to kind of go into it.
Yeah, so I heard that that you wrote the extension. Is that true?
Yeah, that's totally true. I mean, so just a little bit background. So I'm basically a developer, and I'm actually at Algolia leading or head of integrations for the partner alliances team. And the Firebase team reached out to our support, and the message made it back to me, where we engaged them to on this particular collaboration on building the extension to be actually talked about at Google I/O. So super excited about when that event happened, and we were also called out.
Yeah, I love it because extensions is really good for that, integrative glue, all that, it's disingenuous to call it boilerplate code, but but all that stuff you want to get just right, that's running on the server that integrates the two together. And so I'm really excited today to get started with it. But before we do that, I've been on this YouTube channel for such a long time, and so many people who watch this, they're like, oh, that's that David East guy. He's doing the YouTube stuff again. But people don't know you, Sajid, and so I wanted to do a nice icebreaker, and I want to do my favorite icebreaker game. And usually you do like 3 truths or 2 truths and a lie, but I want to take it up to the next level today, and so I want 4 truths and a lie. So what do you got for me?
Ooh, okay, let me think about this. All right, I got one. A little bit embarrassing. Can't believe I'm actually saying this here, but at one point in my life, I actually had 4 cats living with me. I know 4 is a lot, but yeah, so that happened, and so that's one.
Or is it 4?
Another one. Yeah, another one. Actually, I love to travel. So on one of my trips, actually, I hiked the highest freestanding mountain in the world. So that's one.
Okay.
And so I'll actually on one of my trips in Argentina, I was at the tip end of Argentina where they actually had the post office at the end of the world. So I decided to send some postcards to my family and friends. So that's 3. One of my trips to Maui, my friends and I decided to go for a dive. And in our dive, we actually saw a shark, and we decided, hey, let's get a closer look. But then I think the shark saw us coming towards it, and it started to chase us. But I was fine. I wasn't scared because, as long as I was able to outswim my friends, I'm good to go, right? So, and so the last one, let's see. Yes, I faced a big cat. And when I say big cat, I'm talking about like a lion or something. I couldn't see. It was dark.
Not one of your 4 cats.
No. This was, I thought it was, I love cats. And I was like, maybe I should try to pet a big cat when I was in safari in Tanzania, off of the Ngorongoro crater. It was dark, so I couldn't really see other than the eyes looking at me. And at that point, a friend was with me. I just outran my friend. So I was not nervous there either. So I think that should be 5, right?
All right, so we got cats, sharks, big cats, post offices at the end of the world.
And the hike.
And the hike up to tallest freestanding mountain. Okay, so there's so many ways to go about this. So we have a whole episode to get to. So I'm gonna be guessing these throughout the episode.
All right.
So I gotta think here. Like, if you're trying to go with some obvious things, or there's so many ways to dissect this. But all right, we're gonna get moving on the app. So I have here. We're gonna dive down into the laptop now. I have here the Cloud Firestore console open, our data editor, and this has a collection of products in it, and it's just a bunch of generated data. So none of the thing with the data set here is important at all for demonstrative purposes today. But what is cool is that there is 1,000, so that 1,000, that's good, searchable amount of products here. And so what I want to do is I'm going to set this up through Algolia. So I'm going to start just from scratch by doing it through extensions. And if I scroll down here, we got this beautiful little card right there, and this is going to take me through this multi-step process where it's going to say, like, hey, let's review what's going on here, and it's going to say we're going to create a cloud function called execute index operation. And so Sajid, if I have this right, this is the heart of it, right? This is really the thing that monitors Firestore's updates, and then this is where you can create, update, and delete. This is where you sync it with the Algolia index, right?
Yep, that's correct. I mean, the extension, it is pretty simple. It's actually just one cloud function that any update, add, update, delete is triggered, and this function is pretty much handling all those three scenarios, and then it's kind of doing its own thing, doing its thing actually.
Okay.
So.
And if you want to look at it, there's always this view source. I'm not going to get into it right now, but if you want to look at it, you out in there, the audience, this is a good place to look. It's all open source.
And one thing to add here, if there's any feature requests or any issues, you can definitely open up those issues in the GitHub repo, and we're happy to address them as quickly as we can.
And you know what? While you're there, you should just go and drop it a star.
I would really appreciate it. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, that's what we do. We get up stars. That's what life's all about. All right, so moving on to the next one. And so we're talking about billing and usage here. And so this has got to set up some billing for Cloud Functions, but as long as you're within the free tier, which I cannot remember what it is, but it's large, you should be fine. And Algolia too has your big free trial, and you have like your basic searching after that too. So there's a lot of space to explore here before you're ready to take it up to the pricing level. So
exactly, I think that's why a lot of developers love Firestore and as well as Algolia. There's that free tier there where you can kind of play around with Firestore as well as testing out some search functionalities. And with the free tier for Algolia, at least the first 2 weeks, you pretty much have access to everything on the platform, and then it just goes into the basic search features.
Yeah. All right. So now here we are. This is the important part. We don't want to mess these up. All right. So even though we can reconfigure a lot of them, but right now we don't want to. We have got a show to do. All right. So collection path. My collection path is products, because that was what I just showed in the collection. It's the only collection I have of products. That's the 1,000 document collection, and this. Every time something gets added, removed, deleted from that collection, that's what that cloud function is going to look at. Now we have indexable fields. And if I remember properly, oh, look, I got the nice autofill. I have location of the product, the material it's made from, name, price, and I think SKU is one I wanted to add. So yeah, these are things, and Sajid, if I have this right, this is what Algolia is going to use to actually index this field. So when we search with Algolia, it knows to, make these searchable.
Yeah, and actually it's the extension. So any adjustments that happen, add, create, or update and create, we will check to see if those changes have happened on those fields before we send it to Algolia to kind of save you on any operations hits to Algolia. But we extract those fields from the Firebase document and then send it over to Algolia.
No,
And then,
actually, I just
yeah, sorry,
I don't
one
want-
more thing.
yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, and those then appear into Algolia, and after that, it's then you could kind of configure Algolia, that particular index in Algolia for whether it's searchable. I mean, I'm sure a lot of these fields you may not want them to be searched. More, they could be for display. They could be used
Right.
for facets, and we can kind of go into that when we kind of do a tour of the Algolia dashboard.
Yes. So I'm just going to stick with these three for now because I'm just trying to keep it simple. And
Sure.
so, speaking of the Algolia console, we have our first request to do this. So we need to have an Algolia index name. So I have an Algolia account set up here, and I don't have any indexes or anything. I just have an Algolia app. And so from here, I need to create an index to provide into there. And so if I want to do that, I click in here. I just click onto the left, and then it says, all right, let's create an index. And so I'm going to call this index products because I'm just going to name them the same. And is that a pretty normal move that you think, Sajid?
Pretty much.
Mirror them?
Pretty much, but what we do is also, depending on how big the site is or your application, you can have multi-language, environments. So you could probably do prod underscore en for English underscore products if you wanted to do separate, separate indexes per environment and languages. But that's really up to you, the application or to the
Right.
developer. So.
Right, and I just decided to refresh and skip. Even though you have a lovely tutorial, I decided, I'm going to skip through it because we got time to hit. So now we have this set up, and our index name is products. So I'm going to come back here, and I'm just going to select products. So that's good. And then now I need Algolia application ID. That's pretty simple if I have that right. If I go into API keys, I like how you have the copy right there. That's always I need more of that in my life. And so I'm gonna paste that in, and then now this is a good discussion here because when I first set this up, I messed this up myself. And so I want to make sure that other people are good to go on here. So we need to create an Algolia API key. And so we're right here. And so if I go to all API keys, I have some that I've already set up when I was testing around before, but we're going to do this from scratch. So I'm going to create a new API key. And it's really good we have this written here, but to kind of walk me through this, Sajid, we have add object, delete object. All these API keys need these specific permissions. So these are, I assume the whole point here is to be as granular as possible with what it can do and not give it too much.
Yeah, that's correct. Currently, we're kind of giving too much, as I described in the documentation, but that's okay. So what we want to do is, good thing that you're actually selecting an index. If you don't select an index, then that API key has access to all those indexes and the different permissions you've actually given. So it is good to actually create an API key and lock it down and narrow the focus to a particular index and the permission itself. From security best practices, at the same time, if you somehow lose an API key, you can always create another one. But but I think from a security best practice, it's best to kind of reduce the number of permissions. Just put the right level number of permissions, and be exact about what index you want to select.
Yeah, I like to not give something too much, power if it doesn't need it. And because you're only going to hurt yourself. I'd rather run into an error telling me that it can't do something than give it just limitless power to take me down. So. So I think I have it all. Add object, delete object. Let's see here. Add object, delete object, list indexes, delete index. Do I have delete index? Yes, I do. Settings, edit settings, list. All right. All right. So that looks good. So now I have this set up. I'm going to create it. And then right here, let's copy it. And I'm just going to paste it in here. All right. Now, we're not going to do the transform function name, but I do want you to do a little plug for it because this is pretty new. It says experimental here. So tell us what's this all about.
Sure. So a couple of requests that we've gotten from our developers who are using the extension. And what they wanted to do was to enrich the payload going into Algolia. So once we were able to capture the data from the document, from a Firestore document, they wanted to do additional processing, whether they added new attributes to the payload before it went to Algolia, or maybe modify the existing attributes in the payload or the values of them and then send it to Algolia. So this is another cloud function that you can set up and put the function name in here, as long as it's running in the same cloud region as the extension.
Region. That's good to know.
Yes, and it's in the description that kind of lays out what needs to be done there. But it's experimental in terms of, one thing that isn't in place is security. Just make, once that cloud function is public, anybody can actually hit it. So it's experimental right now until, I put in the security pieces into it. So, it's protected. So only the extension cloud function is hitting it and allowed to hit it. So
that's awesome. It's basically like, array map in the cloud, but, really, you can do what you want.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. Awesome. Well, the last thing we're going to do before we install, we're just going to set our region. Do you have a favorite region, Sajid?
I always choose the first one, Iowa.
I went to high school in Northern Virginia.
Let's do that then.
Let's do that. Yeah, I like that. Northern Virginia. Let's do that. So install extension. And so now this extension is going to install. So let's see how that goes. All right.
Yeah.
Oh, and look at that. That installed. How did that happen?
That was pretty fast.
Right, so now that we are... It was lightning fast. And so now that we are in, I'm going to click Get Started, because one of the things that we need to handle now is that we have 1,000 documents in the Firestore collection, but we need to sync these with the Algolia index, because our Algolia index, if we go over here to indices, products, no records yet, and we want this to happen. So we want to take existing records and we want to put them into the index, and we can do that through a script, right down here.
Yes, that's correct. So one of the things that Firebase team will implement hopefully in the future is a hook that would execute this script automatically on a extension install, or possibly a configuration change. If you change the index name or maybe the collection path in the future, we're hoping those hooks would automatically kick off the reimport process for you. But for now, this has to be done manually. So the documentation kind of provides the details on what needs to, what command that needs to be executed. And currently it's a Unix command. So for Windows, hopefully Windows users, they can use PowerShell or some type of command line tool that they can actually kick off a bash script. One thing that needs to be transformed or adjusted in this particular script is anything that says unspecified parameters needs to be removed, as well as the Google application credentials.
Yes. So all I'm gonna do is I'm gonna copy this, because I love copying and pasting code. And so I'm over here now in a code editor. This is Visual Studio Code, and this is a Next.js app. So it's a framework on top of React. It makes it really easy to get started writing React apps and all sorts of other stuff. The app itself is not super important, but you can check out Next.js. You could really get the same app I have up and running pretty quickly. And so what I have here is I have this, and I had run this one before, so I'm just gonna delete that, and I'm gonna paste in this. And I'm always weary of multi-line Unix commands, because I always feel like I'm gonna do something wrong. And one of the things I did wrong is when I set this, well, I'm gonna get rid of the transform function because we don't need that, but this whole path to service account key, I have a service account here, sa.json, and for your let's see here, for people who need that, let's go to, where is it? Let's see, we go into service accounts, and if you click service account and you generate a new private key, it will generate that JSON, and then I just went and dragged that into my folder. So that is how I have my service account. So and from here, the service account, we will reference that /sa.json. And this is what I did wrong. You want to make sure you keep that slash in there, because if you don't, bad things happen. Isn't that right, Sajid?
Yeah, pretty much, because when you run that npx command, it doesn't have access to those environment variables. And by having that slash continuation slash, it then is able to set those environment variables so that the import process can use get the information it needs to kick off the import, get the data from your Firestore database and put into Algolia.
Right, and so this is all the same information that we've configured with the function, and that this npx, which is a fancy npm command utility, it calls this Firestore Algolia search. And this seems like, at first when I ran this, I thought this was going to be scary because I was like, oh, this seems like it's going to do a lot. But it wasn't. It was really good. So I have this saved in seed.sh. And so if I do sh/seed.sh in my terminal, let's see here. Oh, yes, I had this. I know what this is. This is something to do with the way I have it set up. I looked into this, but I was too lazy to fully do this. So I think if you move all these onto one line, you're fine. It's something with the way it reads. I can't remember because I think it skips a lot of things. So I just moved this all into one line. I could probably find the proper way to fix this, but I don't. Maybe someone in the comments they can tell us. People in the comments are really good at spotting all the things I do wrong, so I never have to worry about finding it myself.
Yeah, David, I was thinking about creating a one-line command, which I could do and provide both the users or developers a single-line command or a multi-line command.
Yeah, look at this. So hard to read.
Exactly. That's the only reason that I chose to show the multi-line command, just because it's easy to read.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think it's just something with this terminal set. I looked into this briefly and I saw something, and then I remember someone being like, you can do this, or you could just put it on one line. And I was like, one line, that sounds good. Awesome. See, now it's working. And so it's going to run through. But before it does anything, and right now this is just npx at work, pulling down the package that is this. And then it gives me some warnings, but I found that this... didn't actually it said that this was missing, but it didn't actually give me any problems. I think it's just reading something incorrectly with environment variables because I'm using a JSON instead of a environment variable.
Well, it's currently a warning, right? It's not it does scare you in terms of it says severity, right? But it's actually a warning letting you know that's not set, and
it's a good point.
It's not currently being used by the import script, so it's okay.
Exactly. I'm not using any of the. We're using service account.json that has all the credentials needed, and these are environment variables. We're not using those. But all right, so it's going to say like, hey, this is about to happen. Do you want to continue? And it's awesome that the default is no, because it makes you actually read it and figure out what you're doing before you do it. But I'm going to say yes, and then when I do, we're just going to sit here and then boom, and that was quick. That was so quick. And so now if we go to Algolia, give the page a little refresh. Look at that. We got all these records in here. And look at that. Yep.
And David, one more thing that I want to kind of show you. You may look at this and wonder why do I only see two attributes? There is actually a link that can show the rest of them. There you go.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because these are big cards, and we can do our search in here. So if I search synergistic, I used buzzwords. And so we have our two synergistic records. And also one of the things I want to point out here is that object ID, that's a special key, isn't that right?
Yes, that's actually used by Algolia. That's the way we actually look for our identifiers, unique identifiers, and that is the attribute that we use for that.
And object ID, this is the same
as your
key
document
that
ID.
We have.
Yes.
As your document ID in Firestore. Exactly. So that mental mapping is really important at this point, is to say, hey, I have this object ID. Now I have, so that way you can reference the two. So this is going to be very important later. So we have this all set up. We have this basic search that we can do now, but is there anything you want to, teach us about the Algolia console before we move on?
Yeah, sure. I mean, this is great. Now we've got the all your documents inside of the Algolia index, and this is per index. You can actually configure each index differently, right? So I'd say the first thing I would probably want to do, you've already done a quick search, do a test search. And one of the things that Algolia will do will search all the attributes. So maybe a developer, maybe you need to figure out your use case and figure out which are my searchable attributes. So the best way to actually configure that is you go to configurations and thank you. And then search about attributes. So this way, if you have, like you could probably change name, materials could be the other searchable attributes. Perfect. Because there could be an image URL that you don't want that to be a searchable attributes, last modified, things like that. So those could, maybe the image assets could be, the image URL could be used for more display purposes. So when you're displaying the search results, you can actually then show an image there. And other attributes that may not be searchable could be used for facets, which could actually, if it's down right below, I think if you scroll down, you can actually then so facets. So this is for facet searching. So if you decided that you want a particular, maybe material could be a good one that you may want to use for facets in addition to for a searchable field, you can do this. And if you'd save and then go back to browse, you will then see that you'll have a facets. So this might not be the best example for facets, but just kind of show you, quickly that you can do that.
Right. So my next question is, it's got to be the freestanding mountain, right? Like you got all these things going on. You didn't climb the freestanding mountain, right?
I didn't climb it. I hiked it. See, I did say I hiked it.
Oh, you hiked it.
Yeah.
Oh, you're right. You did say you hiked it. So you actually did. We did. We hiked the freestanding mountain.
Yeah, and do you know the mountain that I'm referring to?
I don't. I'm not good on my mountains.
It's Kilimanjaro.
Oh, you hiked Kilimanjaro. That is like one of those. That's one of those life things. It's like
bucket list.
I hiked Mount Kilimanjaro.
Mm-hmm. It was a great adventure, So it was very tough though.
All right. I'm gonna keep thinking. All right, what the next one is? All right. So we have our search set up. Let's move on to where we're gonna do this in UI now. So one of the things I really appreciated using Algolia was that we have search UI, and so here in your documentation, you have all these different instance search libraries that hook up UI with the Algolia client, and it makes it really easy to show hits as you refer to them as you search. It's really cool. It's super fast, and then the React one I found to be just like very easy to use. And so there'll be links in the show notes for this, or the description, so check this out. The way it works is you instantiate an Algolia search client, and then from here you have this provider in React. Like if you're an Angular user, and that's another cool thing I liked. I like how there was the Angular one, I saw a Vue one, there's Vanilla.js. Like there were so many different ways to hook this up. So if you're like, I'm not a React developer, well, it doesn't matter. There's tons of support.
And I'd love to add something here. I mean, one of the things that we love, promote on Algolia to our customers is Algolia is the best relevance engine, and we provide the best speed. On the first keystroke, you're able to see results. But also, we actually talk, how great our developer documentation is. And I'm sure if anyone's already using Algolia, they can actually attest to this. And you've already take a look at this as well. We provide SDKs. I mean, we definitely have the APIs that you can directly build your SDKs around, but we provide SDKs in all the different popular languages, as well as our instance search library, which are all these pre-set up widgets that, you really don't have to develop your own widgets. You could just use ours and customize it however you want. So in the widgets itself, like you said, we have Vue, React, plain JavaScript, and I think there might be one more, but I can't think of it right now. Oh, Angular, yes.
Yes. So one of the things I'm trying to find, I remember I found a good copy. Okay, let's just keep rolling, because what we're gonna do is, so this is all right. This is similar to what we're gonna do. We're gonna do something very much like this. So in my code editor, I'm gonna show you all out there what packages I have installed. We have Algolia Search. I'm using the beta version of the Firebase SDK, the new awesome tree shakeable, much lighter version. So we're going to take a look at that. I have Next, React DOM, and then the React Instant Search DOM for the library we're going to use. And then we also just have some TypeScript types. And I have Firebase admin set up for this import script I've written, and then also, obviously TypeScript, because I love TypeScript. I just install it sometimes when I don't even use it. No, I'm just kidding. I wouldn't do that. So now we have our homepage component, and if I think I need to run. Do I have it running? No, I don't have it running. All right. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna run npm run dev. And that's gonna kick us off at localhost 3000. And with any luck, it's just gonna be this really boring HTML or CSS reset page with let's search on it, because that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna search. And so the first thing we're gonna do here is at the top, we're going to import the Algolia Search library. And that is from Algolia Search, and I'm going to use light. I like that you have this light library, and it's actually, if I remember properly, it is a default export. So it's like Algolia Search, and then from there I can create a search client. And this will be actually, you know what? One of the things your docs do that I really like is that I can copy and paste things.
Yep.
And so this is what it does. It takes in your app ID, which we created, and then this key right here. And let me copy this first, and then let's talk about that.
Sure.
So let me just do some formatting, but so which key is this, and why, is it safe to use on the client, all that, those type of questions that people usually have.
Good question. Yes. So this key is actually a special key, not a special key. You can actually generate another key, but it only has the browse permission on it, which is keys for searching. You don't want to add any other permissions other than browse. Especially this is going to be, browsable by any developer who's looking at your markup or JavaScript that's wants to deliver onto the browser. So this is a special key that you just specifically add the browse permission on it, and that's all that key does. And there's actually one that's already created for you in the API keys section of the Algolia dashboard. So if you go back, yes, API keys, and then there's the search only API key.
Right, that's the one right here. Yep. Okay, cool. All right. Well, all right, now we got our keys all set up. We are good to go.
Yep.
And the next thing that we'll do is we're going to import from the search library. And that is where we get all of our UI. And from here, I believe we have instant search, which is I think this is a provider. I'm not, my React it's okay. I think, I'm okay at React. So this instant search, and then just to get everything, we have a search box component, and then we also have a hit. What is it? Hit props, or maybe? Oh no, I think I provide the hit. I think that's it. All right. Let's just go with these. I feel like I'm missing one, but we'll figure that out if I am missing it. Maybe your docs has it. Let me click back, or is it? Oh, it was right here. It is hits. Maybe I just wasn't looking right. Okay. Maybe VS Code was failing me. Oh, it is hits. Okay. Yes, I was right. All right. Cool. So we have these three things, which I love that it's only three things to set this up. And instead of let's search, let's start with the instant search. Oh, it didn't turn it into a component for me. And now within here, this needs a search client. And that's just search client. And then if I believe properly, it needs an index as well. Index name, yes. And then ours is products.
Yeah, that's right.
And then from here, I created a little div with a class of site grid, because I have my own, React class name. I do that every time. And I have, in these, just if you're looking at this being like, what else have you done here? I have Nextjs's you create your own document in here where I put some Google fonts in there. And then I also have a custom app, which is how you import global styles. A lot of React developers use style components and emotion and all this cool CSS and JS solutions. I'm not that cool. So I use global styles. Though I do know the author of Emotion. Shout out to Kai. He's cool. But yeah, so I'm just doing it. I'm not doing it the cool React way. So inside here, this is where I start using I'm gonna have my search box, and then within search box, then I'm gonna have hits. And if I recall properly with hits, here, let's look at the docs. Yes, that's right. It's a single escaped component, and I think you need to provide a hit component. Yes. And then I have one in our own component, which I made this little one. See, look, yeah, I'm using BEM in here, block element modifier, not CS and JS. It's, so not cool. And I'm going to import from dot slash components slash hit. And we're going to import, no, not hit. Okay, cool. And so this is going to take in, we'll do this for now. Oh, it doesn't like it for some reason. Oh, I know why, because of the way I did the props. So this, before I just totally fix it for everyone, basically I have these props in here. If I just change this to hit, I believe, and this will break, but if I change this to hit, then it's happy, because it needs to have a prop of hit. And I changed this to item, and I think I probably should just have it as like hit and then delete that. Yeah, and then it's happy. Okay, so look at that. We're fixing problems on the fly. I'm bound to mess up, but not on that one. All right. So now let's just see what this looks like in the UI.
Go
ahead.
David, before you show this in the UI.
No, you didn't see that. No one in the audience saw that. No, what are you saying?
You're supposed to grill me. What happened?
Oh my gosh,
What's the next ask?
Well, because I know what it is. And I just didn't want to disappoint you by guessing what the lie was. And that is, you thought you could trick me by doing the easy one and thinking that I wouldn't guess it. But you didn't have 4 cats. It was probably like 3 cats, wasn't it? Or maybe it was even 5 cats.
You got me. It wasn't 4. No, I was kidding. It is 4 cats. Yes. When I was young, I was getting all these cats, bringing them to my house, even though it's not my cats. So at one point, I had 4 cats living with me. So that was only like a couple of days stint, though.
You were like a cat collector.
Pretty much. But when you're young, you do
we all go
things,
through that phase in our lives where we collect cats.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. All right. So you collected cats. You hiked Mount Kilimanjaro. All right. Well, I'm going to catch you off guard. I feel like I'm going to get this. All right. Okay, so we have this, and this is setting up. Explain this to me. So I have these. These are my data. So this is good. I like this. But why is it these default ones? Because I haven't typed anything in the search box.
Oh, well, actually, what do you mean? Like this? Why is it returning all of it?
It's not returning all of it because we have 1,000, but it's returning. I want to do my math here. But it's returning a certain number of boxes, and we haven't typed anything yet. So it's providing some default thing right now, which is cool because I want this. This is like behavior that I want, something default. But yeah, do we know what the or where we could like point people to?
Yeah, you can actually. This is one thing that I'm actually just blanked on right now. But I think by default we're providing everything, and it's a limited number. But I think it's
maybe
always
it's
changing.
paginated or something. Yeah. Okay, well we'll do some research into that and see what that is because it's super cool. It does it. And so if I start searching now, let's say I'm searching for plastic, and then I'll just search the first one I see. Oh yeah, look at that. Yep. And so we can get to that. I can clear my search. That's super fast. And then what I want to do, so we have that. And I think that's super cool is that, just to recap kind of how that works is create a provider with the search client in there and the index name we want. This is just a sample little like, hey, let's create a grid of things. And so it looks that way. And then the search box, this is all UI provided by Algolia. The amount of UI I've written here is pretty scant, and that's pretty cool. And then we have the hits list, and then that takes in a hit component, which we imported from here. And look at this is just a straight functional component. It doesn't do anything fancy at all. We're going to eventually here pass the onClick callback down into here. So when we click that details button, we'll get the hit serve back up to us. And we'll handle that in here in a second to load stuff from Firestore, but that's it, and that's cool. And I can componentize this somewhere in my site, and then I have my Algolia search with Firestore all set up in one tiny component. It's pretty rad.
I know. That's kind of why a lot of the developers love us, is because we provide so many things out of the box. Keep it as simple as possible. Same thing goes for the Firebase Algolia extension. Once you've kind of configured it, you're not really doing more than what's been configured, unless you actually use the transform function. But that's really up to the developer if they want to do additional enrichment, where they may actually end up adding more logic to it. But that's kind of owned by the developers on that part.
Yeah, well, I just clicked this. I knew this was going to error out. So if anyone in the audience is like, yeah, got him. You didn't, because I knew this was going to error. And so what we're going to do now is we are going to get Sachin caught in his lie, because you did not see a big cat. In Tanzania.
Yes, I actually did. I was actually camping on the Ngorongoro crater with my safari camp, and luckily there was a lot of other camps with us. But a friend of mine's like, "Hey, there should be some fireflies around here." And while I was looking for firewood, because it was really cold on the rim of the Ngorongoro crater, I was just kind of walking on the edges of the camp, and I was like, "Oh!" And my lights were turned off, so. Oh, actually, no, sorry. I had my flashlight because I was looking for firewood, and I pointed into the forest or the brush near the edges of the camp, and I saw like something light up, and I was like, "Oh, fireflies!" I grabbed my friend. I was like, "Hey, you want to see fireflies? I found them," and I showed it to him, and he's like, "Okay, turn off your lights so we can actually see them." I turned them off. It disappeared. He's like, "Turn them back on in that direction," and it wasn't fireflies. It was eyes looking at us. Now, definitely the eyes itself, it was a cat eyes, just because I collected 4 cats, obviously. So so we kind of backed up a little bit, and I just ran for it, left my friends in the dust. I know I'm a terrible friend, right? So, but yeah, that's when I faced a big cat.
Oh my gosh! Yeah, not me, not this guy. I wouldn't be doing that. Okay, well, all right, it's totally, okay, I'm going to have to think about this, because we only got 2 left.
2 more left, yeah.
2 more, so I'm either going to totally fail or get you on this last one. All right, let's move on. We'll get this. All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to surface the click, and to do that, we're going to do something a little fancy, not super fancy. Just call it the hit. And so what we have to do is just create a higher order component. This is some React stuff. Don't worry too much about it. But we pass in the item, and then there's an object, I believe. Item, and then on click. And then React's probably going to yell at me. TypeScript. Oh, TypeScript, cool. I have very permissive typing, no strict mode, I think, on, because it would be really mad at me otherwise. And so what I want to do here is I want to return the hit component, but I'm going to return it as hit, and we're going to pass in, the hit itself, we're going to pass in hit is hit, and then on click is on click. I probably could have spread these props, but that's fine. Stick to not being a cool React developer. And yes. I probably want to do it as capital T since it is a component. All right. This is a horrible naming convention, and I don't recommend doing this at home. But here we go. And so now, if I have this right, let's do a console.log just to make sure before we do anything fancy. Okay, so that's getting rendered because I'm doing it not just on, oh yeah, that's right, because I'm not doing it on the click. It is getting rendered, but if we do like, let's see here, hit, oh, I don't want to name, it's fine. This is going to get confusing with the scoping, but it's fine. Oh yeah, this is, oof. Yeah, don't name things like the way I do. We don't, thank goodness for block scoping. And so now let's clear this out. If I have this right, oh man, I did get messed up. See, and it's because of the way I have this, but I'm just going to trust that this works. That's a horrible thing, but I bet you this, oh, sorry, right in here. This should work. And so now, this is where I'll do it. No, I won't. All right, so we're going to be able to serve onClick into here. Oh, it's because we didn't assign onClick into these. Oh wait, no, how did I do this? Now, I think this is it. I think this is when they're gonna get me. Pass an onClick. Oh, I think this is why, because then from here, I say the hit. Yes, this is what I think I wanted to do. Oh man, no, I don't need to do that. Say hit, because this is going to pass in a hit, I believe. That's like hit. And then hit, and then onClick. Yes, and then what we want to do is we're just going to do cancel out log. I think this will work. Think so. Let's do a refresh, and we're going to make sure this is good. Oh no, I broke it. Man, I can't remember what I did now. See, this is why we are semi-live. Right. I believe I did something like this, but there was a way I passed in the hit. Maybe I did it like the hit.
No, I think that's right. I think the hit. I think you put.
Yeah, and then, but it needs to go through as the component property. That's why I did it wrong. Maybe it is the function. I can't remember what I did now. This is so frustrating for me because I practiced this. Let's see here. We have the hit, and that will go through, but we have to be able to pass in like a click callback. Maybe, oh, I know what I do. I want to do it inside of here. That's what I think it is. So if I do console.log, yes, I think that was how I wanted to handle it. Yes. Oh my gosh, it was so simple. I was just trying to make it, I was trying to over-engineer it. What I really needed to do is I needed to bring in my Redux provider and then do my Redux thunks with my Saga, and then I needed to, use reducer on a use effect. Yeah, that's what I was trying to do. But all I needed to do is just pass it into here. All right, so the cool thing about this object is that this is the same key as the Firestore key. So this brings us to a very important topic of conversation, and that is I now have data that's being synced across two separate systems. I have it stored in Firestore, and I also have it stored in Algolia as an Algolia index. And so what is the source of truth here? Which one do I use? Which one do I lean on? Sajid, do you have any recommendations here?
Yes, definitely. I mean, the source of truth should always be your Firestore database. I mean, that's where your app will be making changes. It'll sync up to the Firestore, your database, and then eventually make it to Algolia. Now, depending on latency and delays that, because one of the things from Algolia side is there is a priority on how we deliver, whether it's indexing or searching. Searching is always prioritized over indexing. So if the system is bogged down because other customers are, this is a Algolia hosted environments. We have our own cloud, Algolia cloud that runs all of our Algolia search, our search itself. And so if there's a lot of searching, if the environments are overloaded, searching will take more of a priority over indexing. So there might be some delays in some cases. So it's always better to trust, or best to trust your Firebase database.
Okay.
As a source of truth, yeah.
So I think what you're saying is that it's the shark, right?
Mm-hmm. Oh, we're back to that again. Shark. Yeah. Okay.
So it was the shark.
It was a shark.
You didn't get chased.
It was it? Yes, it was actually. So the thing is that we did go and dive Maui. We did see a shark, and instead of the shark chasing us, we were stupid enough to say, hey, let's swim to the shark because, it's not fun seeing a shark in the distance. It's great when it's right in our face.
Because the giant
right?
cat wasn't enough for you.
No. I think we do a lot of dumb things. It's not just me included. I think everybody does a lot of dumb things, right? So, but that's where a lot of the great stories come from. If I didn't do any of those dumb things, I would have nothing to tell.
Well, no, that has made this a lot of fun. See, I was the first one I thought of, but then I was like, you know what? That sounds like one of those ones where you jump for it, and you're wrong. Oh, should have just gone with my first instinct.
I try to make it as obvious as possible, but I guess you went to the four cats first.
I did. It just seemed like it would be the one you'd overlook. All right. Well, inside of here, let's do some React stuff. So I'm gonna import. I'm going to try to do this the right React way. Import from React. Let's do use state. And yeah, I think that probably use state and use effect. I'm already scared doing this. All right, so use state. So what I want to do here is I want to be able to set whatever is like the current clicked upon record. And so that's going to start with null. And so it's going to be record and set record. And so when you click inside here, I'm going to say set record. And then that will get processed. And what we want to do is do a use effect. That's right. And then don't worry about this, you people who don't care about React, because I'm not even sure if this is right. I think what I want to say is every time record changes, let's import from Firebase. So we're gonna use the brand new Firebase SDK. I'm very, very excited about this. And so what's great about this is everything we import are going to be free floating functions, which is fun to say, free floating functions. And then from here, we're going to use Firestore, and we're going to use a brand new package called Firestore Lite, which is, so if we're using Algolia Search Lite, let's use Firestore Lite. This is significantly smaller than Firestore. It doesn't do as much, no real-time reads and offline, but if you just need a simple REST API like we want right now, this is awesome to use. And so what we're going to do is we're going to create our app from Firebase, and that I have an actual import from /Firebase config, which I believe that is a default export, so I'll just call it config. And then just to show everyone that it's not total magic, just my Firebase keys are in here. And now I can do some cool stuff with Firestore Lite. So the first thing I need to do is I need to get Firestore instance. I'll need to get the collection that I want to talk to, so products in this case, and then I'm going to need to be able to get the doc. So 3 nice little free-floating functions, and we'll get the DB from get Firestore. I'm going to pass in the Firebase app instance. Even though this is optional to do in the new world, it's still kind of fun. I know you can, so I just kind of like doing it. And then I'm going to create a fun little function called product doc, and what this will do is you'll have an ID, and this will turn a collection. Oh, did not want that. It's a little function that says, okay, let's do the collection of products. Oh, and I need the /products/ID. And so now if I call this, I can say product. I can say like doc is product, even though I would not do that, but product doc, and I can pass in whatever string in there, and it will return to me a collection instance. And so now inside here, what I can do is, you can't. Let's do this as an async function. We're going to get the doc's data of the record, and so we're going to say doc is product doc of record dot object ID, and it's called doc. It's called record doc, and then from here we can get the data or snapshot from record doc. We call get doc of record doc. And so I'm speeding through this, people. But what we are, oh, and I need to pass in the, what is it? The first instance is DB, I believe. So pass in. No, what is it that I need to pass in first? I can't remember. All right, well, I should probably just read the docs. Yeah, I just pass in a reference. And so if I'm returning a record, and this returns a reference. Oh, I'm returning a collection. I need to return a document. That's my problem. Oops. See, this is why I use TypeScript, people. And so now we're gonna pass that in, but it's not. It's record doc. Awesome. Whew. And we'll await it, and then console.log snapshot.data. So what does it not like? Async function. What am I missing? Oh, I just gotta call it a name. Async function load. That's a horrible name. And then we'll just call load in here. So effectively everything I just did, and I'll cross my fingers this is gonna work, is that we are saying, hey, whenever someone clicks something, we're gonna set a record, and that's gonna be from the callback of whatever hit was clicked. This will trigger this use effect because we are triggering off of this record. It's going to call this, and I just wrap this in an async function so I could use await, and then we'll get the data. So let's do that. There's other ways I could have done this. This seems to be, is this the official React way? We'll have to, if you're in the comments, let me know. So let's test this. Oh yeah, it's going to be error at first. Oh, that's right. It's going to have an error at first. So what we want to do is we want to check to see if record not equal null. Let's do this. All right, not record doc, if record. All right. And this error, I know how to recover from this error. And hopefully the beautiful thing about this is this might be one of the last times we ever see this error. Because what's happening right here, this is just a bit of a quirk of hot module replacement, where it's saying, hey, you already created a Firebase app because some internal state that's being kind of clobbered over. We have I don't know if it's a fix, but we're changing some behavior so that this won't happen anymore, and that will happen when we do our final release of the SDK that's currently in beta. So the simple fix for this is actually pretty easy, and like I said, hopefully you'll never see this again, but we go to this getApps method, and what we want to do is we want to check to see, like, is there an app? Does it exist? If so, use that. If not, let's initialize an app. And so I can say if getApps.length is equal to 1, then we'll just say getApps of 0. Else do that. So good old ternary operator, and that way when we save now, there we go. So this is good. Let's click one of these details, and just like that, it worked. And what's cool about this is that this has other pieces of information in it from Firestore that it didn't have in, bump this up, that we didn't have in Algolia. So I didn't index price or SKU or this little numeric ID. We just did these three. And so I can search on these three, and then I use Firestore, like you're saying, as my source of truth. And if I had more time, I would probably just put this into the UI. But for now, I want to talk about two more things before we go. And the first is that I hear there's some pretty cool logs in here.
Yeah, I mean, we've only scratched the surface of Algolia's platform, and there's so much more that we provide. But from an index point of view, for troubleshooting, the logs, the API logs is where you could go to see if any of the requests are actually making it to Algolia. And this is kind of where you'll find out whether your API keys are correct, whether you have the right permissions. So always check out the logs to see, am I actually getting, if the requests is actually being made here. And then when you click on each, maybe one of those items, then you'll see the request itself and the response that is sent back to you. So maybe if you click the first one, David, yes, there you go.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's a little bit more detail.
Great information.
Mm-hmm. So this is a good way to always, anytime you're actually developing, a good way to check out the logs, verify everything is kind of connected properly, and
Yeah, and you can see actually 4 days ago I have this 403 because I was using the wrong key and I didn't even know it. And then when I looked in here, I was like, oh, I'm using the wrong key. And so stuff like this is pretty useful.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah,
And then there's also stats as well. So for anyone that's actually
yes.
wanting to understand like what number of records created, search operations. This is also a good way to identify if anybody's actually using your search key. If your search operations have gone up, this is a way to kind of track that as well.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, the very last thing I want to talk about is security, because security is very important. And so this is on the Firebase side. And so the cool thing about this is this is a search that in my case, let's just say that this is like a public searchable thing that I wanted people to do for my site. Like anyone can go and search and find it. So my rules are pretty simple. I'm going to match at the document level under the products collection. So match products, with this capture for this ID. And then I can say, hey, allow read if it's true, allow write if false, because I don't want anyone to write. But this has been set this entire time. And so if you still have like an admin service account or something like that, that can be ignored by this. So this is still good for like any type of admin operation, but for any specific user, they can't mess with your product. So in my current case, this is good. I only want admins to write to this, and it makes my security rules, secure and pretty easy here. So, wow, that's it. Sajid, we just covered a lot of stuff.
Yeah, I hope people will remember this. Well, actually, it's a recording, so they can always go back, right?
Yeah, you just go back, you just watch it on 2x, 0.5x, whatever your preferred playback speed is.
I always do 2x. I just like, come on, I need to get to this. I want to actually get to the code. And then I slow it down because then it's just, I want to capture everything properly. Or otherwise, we make mistakes, right?
That's true. I do. I agree with you. I'm a 1.5x person.
Yeah.
Myself. I can't do 2x. It's too much for me.
Yeah, it's kind of too fast. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, thank you for coming on the show, Sajid. That was awesome. If anyone wants any more information, check out the GitHub repo. All the links we have in the description. Algolia's got tons and tons of docs with tons of integrations. So check those out. If you want to see more Algolia stuff, let us know in the comments. This is just something we did on a whim for fun, and we're happy to do more. And just let us know what you all want and what you all think. So thanks for tuning into the show, and we'll see you on the next Firebase Semi-Live.
Amazing. Thanks, David. Thanks, everyone. It was great to be on this show.